He said that Carroll was talking about, electrification years ago.
Oh, definitely.
Hey everybody, Erik with MotorBiscuit here, and I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Aaron Shelby, who is the grandson of the icon, Carroll Shelby, as well as a mover and shaker in Shelby today. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
It's our pleasure. I thought I'd kick us off by talking a little bit about the Carroll Shelby Foundation. Not a lot of people know about it. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about your role in the foundation, as well as just kind of what it does?
Yeah, definitely. So the Carroll Shelby Foundation started about 30 years ago. It was after Carroll had his heart transplant originally, and then ultimately a kidney transplant. But the original idea of the foundation was to help children going through heart transplant care. After a few years, Carroll expanded that. That was a pretty narrow scope. And so today what we do is focus on families that have children going through any type of transplant care. And we work real close with the Children's Organ Transplant Association out of Indianapolis to help identify those families that need some assistance with that. And in addition, about 15 years ago, Carroll reached out to a community college in East Texas, where he was from, the Northeast Texas Community College, and we started up the Carroll Shelby Automotive Technical Training Program out there. And so we provide scholarship dollars on a semester basis out there, in addition to locating similar type programs around the country to provide scholarship dollars to. We've also sponsored high school shop tech competitions before. And the idea is to try and figure out, not everybody needs a 4-year education to go be successful. And I think everybody knows the auto tech world is in desperate need of more workers as well. So these 2-year programs at the community colleges are really, really beneficial there, and trying to get that knowledge base out. And our support with scholarship funds tries to do that in our own little way.
Wow, what an endeavor, and what a way to move the legacy forward. Geez, that's something.
Yeah, really, it's I think if you talk to Carroll in the last 10 years of his life, the foundation was what he really saw as his legacy. Not that he disparaged the cars, and he loved the history of Shelby American, wanted that company to succeed and continue, but the foundation is where he really wanted his legacy to continue on.
That's fantastic. So moving forward, could you tell us a little bit about your role with Shelby today?
I will. So I'm on the board of Carroll Shelby International, which is sort of the umbrella organization that all the Shelby entities roll up under. My role as a board member, I do a lot of brand ambassador work. I attend events and represent the brand. I also work really closely with Gary Patterson, who's our president of Shelby American out of Las Vegas. We spend a lot of time with the teams at Ford Motor Company up in Detroit. And so I go up to Dearborn 3 to 4 times a year to meet with the engineering and marketing teams on what's coming down the pipeline and what we're doing with Shelby in Las Vegas, and then what Ford is working on with Shelby up in Dearborn. So it's a great role for me. A lot of people don't know this is my side job. I'm a banker by day in Dallas, so that's my real job. But I'm afforded enough time to work on Shelby, and it's a passion project for me.
It's too cool. That's too cool that you keep it going. So everybody should know Ford and Shelby have had just a fantastic relationship of cooperation, collaboration to make some of the baddest cars out there. And I believe you served as a liaison between the two at one point in time. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's really a lot of fun. My actual introduction to the role that I've got now came from Ford Motor Company. When the GT350 was being rolled out and debuted in, I believe it was late 2014, they called up the 2 CEOs of Shelby and said, hey, we'd like to get a family member involved if there's somebody that's be willing to do that. And so I got a phone call and said, would you mind coming out to Los Angeles? They're going to roll out the GT350, and Henry Ford III is going to represent Ford, and they like a Shelby family representative. And I'm like, well, who says no to that? So
yeah, who would?
So I went out there, had a great time with it. And then from that, it was like, well, do you mind doing this event? And then do you mind doing that event? And then it kind of snowballed into where I was becoming more active at it. And Joe and Neil, that are the company CEOs, are great, but they're not really face people. They don't want to be out front with the promotional stuff. And so it was a natural role for me to fit into, being Carroll's grandson. And then also I've got, through my banking and business background, I had a little bit there, but it's really been a great relationship, getting to know both the Ford family and all the liaisons at Ford that we work with through the years, both on the engineering side and the marketing side. So I really greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, it sounds fulfilling. So speaking of things to get excited about, like a GT350, we just had the unveiling of the Code Red, the GT500 package. That is a serious beast, and everybody's excited about that. But what projects are you personally excited about?
So what the Code Red was something really special for us, a very unique little project that's not a high volume piece, but it's a good attention grabber with the horsepower we're getting and the performance of that vehicle. But to me, I look at some of the volume stuff that we do. A lot of people don't recognize that we do a lot of trucks today. The Shelby brand on trucks has become really popular over the last 6 years. And we've got a lot of opportunity. Ford obviously has a great line of trucks to work off of. And so we have about 4 different styles that we have Shelby packages on today. And looking at those next generation packages is a lot of fun. In addition to the Mach-E concept that we rolled out in SEMA last year, we have just been getting great reviews on that as we take it around the country to different shows, and working close with Ford on kind of how we introduce that product in the future is going to be really important for us and for Ford, I think, as we look to that electrification piece of the business going forward.
That sounds too awesome. Thank you. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your grandfather. He's a larger than life guy and kind of an icon in American motorsport. What else can you say about him? But do you want to share a little something about Carroll Shelby, the man, that maybe we didn't know about, or like a fond memory?
Yeah, I think, for me, he was just grandpa. That was it. We grew up, I was born in the early 70s. He wasn't in the car business at that point in time, but as he went through the Chrysler years in the 80s, as I was a teenager, and then back with Ford later in the 2000s, it's been a lot of fun to watch. But we really just grew up around him as grandpa. He was great. We spent a lot of time on the farm with him out in East Texas, fishing and riding motorcycles. And he was an avid golfer. As I got older, I played a lot of golf with him and at his country club out in Los Angeles, and enjoyed that immensely. And it just, I think he was a normal guy, and that helped him relate. Every time I go to a show today, even this past weekend in Monterey, I met people and like, oh, we met your grandfather 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He just was so approachable, and he remembered meeting us 10 years earlier. And that was just the kind of guy that he was. And so for us, he was grandpa. And we did a lot of those grandpa grandkid activities, which I look back on fondly now. His place out in East Texas is a couple hours outside of Dallas. And if he was in for a weekend, we'd usually try and head out there and visit with him. And you never knew what he had up his sleeve. We'd go looking at cows for an afternoon, or, I am maybe looking at buying this property. What do you think? And we'd grow some timber out there, and then he'd come up, and all of a sudden there'd be a couple of new 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers out there to go ride around on. And you just never knew what might show up out there, but it was always fun to go visit with him. And it was sort of his home and his place to recharge as well. So it was a lot of fun to witness that.
That's great. Never a dull moment, huh?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I never had the pleasure of meeting him myself, but he must have been an amazing person.
He really was. And I appreciated it as his grandson for sure, but I think I've appreciated it more in the last 10 years as he's been gone, and I've moved into this role and just talked to so many people that have either worked with him or were close acquaintances of him, and just to hear the stories about things that he helped with or did. He was also a true entrepreneur. He was an idea guy. Lots and lots of projects that he jumped into never went anywhere, but he didn't stop him. He just knew one of these projects is going to hit again. And he was always excited to try out new technology and whatever the next new developments were.
That's a great attitude. Yeah, I was talking to Gary Patterson, and he said that Carroll was talking about, electrification years ago.
Oh, definitely. It's people equate Shelby with power and sound, and that's great to be associated with that. But Carroll was a forward thinker. It was always, what's the next best technology? And he looked at different engine technologies for years, and he did talk about electrification. He actually had the team produce a hydrogen-powered Cobra with a partner. There was always something else that was in his mind of where things needed to go down the road.
Oh, that is too cool. Well, we here at MotorBiscuit, we're all car people. I know you're a car person too. We got to know what's in your stable that you're excited about, cars or motorcycles.
Well, what I'm most excited about? I have a 2022 GT500 that I'm supposed to get in about a week or 10 days. And I'm really excited. I got the carbon fiber track pack on that and the Heritage Brittany Blue. I am really fired up about that one coming my way. But until that time, I really enjoy that. I've got a 2015 GT350, and that flat plane crank is just so much fun to drive around.
Isn't that sweet? That Voodoo engine sings.
Yep, most definitely. So it's and that's just a unique engine that's not coming back around. It doesn't look like. So it's having that car. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. It's just too much fun.
Oh, I love hearing that. And kind of in the same vein, if you could add any vehicle to your garage, anything, car, motorcycle, truck, what would it be and why?
So it's interesting, just coming back from Monterey, we saw all kinds of fun new stuff out there in concept cars. And one of the most peculiar ones, but really it's got some heritage to it. Aston Martin debuted what they call the DBR 22. And it was a bit of an homage to the 1959 DBR 1 that Carroll won Le Mans in. And so it's a 2-passenger roadster, open top, really V12 motor in it. It was a spectacular machine. So we got a little bit of a tour with that with the Aston Martin folks, and it's a design study right now. I don't know if they're going to produce it, but that was a spectacular car. So as I look forward, that would probably be one. If I look back a ways, we'd love to get a Daytona coupe in the stable, and the originals aren't really obtainable, but getting a nice replica one, I think, would be good for us from a family perspective. And we've talked about that quite a bit through the years. So that'd be fun on the vintage side to take a look at.
Daytona coupe. What a car. I love it. I love it. Aaron, is there anything else that you want our viewers to know about you, the foundation, the company?
I think in general, what we've talked about is just the company is as strong as it's ever been from a production and a financial perspective. We're real excited about where we are. We went through a couple of years after Carroll passed away, kind of looking for our identity, if you will. And we'd love to be tied with Carroll, but 10 years on, he's not here. And so how do we move forward? And we've got a great team, something that he did in the 60s and something that he did, before he passed away. He assembled a great group of people. And we're really excited when we work together. We call ourselves a big name, but a small company. And that's really how we operate. And so we're nimble, but yet looking forward to the future and what that brings for us. We have a lot of opportunity out there. And I think you'll be seeing more of the Shelby brand around, post-COVID here, hopefully around the world a little bit more. We were making some good headway with that pre-COVID, and I'm hoping to get back out on the road and see some Shelbys on the road in Europe and South Africa and some other places. So keep your eyes open for that. And there's always some fun events going on around the country as well.
Sounds great. I'm sure the rest of the world is ready for the Shelby name too. Definitely. All right. Thank you so much. What a pleasure, Aaron Shelby, having you on with MotorBiscuit. Thank you.
Rick, I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time today. I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. We'll do something like this again.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. MotorBiscuit fans, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe there. And check out motorbiscuit.com for all your needs automotive.